Hello and welcome to Nature Days Outdoor Learning Resources, sponsored by the Gower Society. It's a hot day today and it's meant to get hotter. And my challenge for you is to try and work out what the temperature is. But you're going to have a very unusual helper. We're going to investigate if there is a truth in what they say that you can tell the temperature of the air by counting the chirps in a cricket. Crickets chirp for lots of reasons, to attract a mate or to see off another male. But we're going to see if there's a relationship between how fast they're chirping and the temperature. Now they say that the hotter it is, the faster the chirping is. Now the chirping is created when the cricket rubs one side of its wing, which is like a blade, against another side, which is a bit like a file with lots of jagged edges. And that running along the two together creates that chirping noise, and the faster it does it, the more we hear it. And also the distance between those bits of the file mean a different pitch of the sound as well, so you can get different pitches for different organisms and different ones. There's also grasshoppers, of course, who of course chirp as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to collect, see if we can find a cricket, see if we can find grasshoppers. We're going to count how many times they chirp in 50 seconds, then use a calculation by adding a certain number. We can find out in Fahrenheit what the temperature is. And we're going to test if that's true by measuring the temperature. So I've got a thermometer here. Now if you haven't got a thermometer, don't worry. If you look on the Met Office website or on another weather app, you can see what the temperature is for your location. So make sure you've got it in Fahrenheit. Then, once we've got our mini beast, so I'm going to use a net. Again, if you haven't got a net, you could either make one, or you could just listen very carefully and see if you could capture one. Place it into a pot like that, and then we're going to time for 15 seconds and count how many chirps our cricket or grasshopper creates. Now, because we are proper scientists, we're not going to just do it once, because if we did it once, it could be that that grasshopper or cricket that was inside our pot had been quite frightened and either had stopped chirping or was chirping faster because it was a bit nervous. So we're going to do it once for 15 seconds, and then we're going to repeat it. We're going to repeat it and repeat it. So we're going to do it 4 times in total. So for 15 seconds, that's going to make a whole minute. And then we're going to work out an average. To do that, you add up your totals for your chirping for your 15 seconds, and then you divide it by the number of times we did it, which was 4, and then you will get an average. And that will get rid of any weird results that you got within your 4. Once you've got your average, you can put it into a results table. So if you look at the Nature Days blog, you'll be able to download a table there, and you can write down how many chirps there were in each of your 50 seconds, calculate your average, and look at the formula for turning that into a temperature. And then write the temperature down that you measured or that you got from the app and compare it to what the cricket told you it was. Let's see how accurate those crickets actually are. Then you could try it again with a grasshopper. Are grasshoppers better at telling the temperature than crickets? Now once you've done that, you could go and see how many different crickets and grasshoppers you can catch and repeat the experiment to make your results more reliable. And when you've got a lovely range of results, you could create a graph. So you could use Excel or you could use J2 Launch, and you need to do a line graph. So this line graph will have temperature along the bottom, a number of chirps along the side. So let's see, is it true that as the temperature goes up, so does the number of chirps? Do we have a straight line, or do we have a curve? And once you've created your line graph, you could then predict the temperature from any number of chirps, so you wouldn't have to calculate it. You could also predict how many chirps there were from each of your temperatures as well. If you're going to find a grasshopper or a cricket, then you need to go to the right habitat. Now, anywhere with long grass is great. So if you've left a bit of your garden unmowed, perfect. If not, have a look round when you have your daily walk. Now, I'm lucky I've got a nice meadow here right outside my house. But great places to go at the moment are sand dune systems. They have loads of crickets and grasshoppers, anywhere with long grass that hasn't been mowed. But if you're not sure, when you're going for your walk, just listen. And behind the birds, you might be able to hear those crickets already. If you've got a sweep net, you can sweep in amongst that long grass, see if you can catch a cricket or a grasshopper. If you haven't got a net, or if you can't catch one, that doesn't matter. You can just listen. So sit there for 15 seconds, count on your watch what 15 seconds is, listen to your chirps, write down how many you hear in that 15 seconds, and then repeat it another 3 times, fill in your results table. If you want to catch it and you've got a sweep net, I'll show you how to do it. So if you've got a net, all you have to do is walk through your long grass, and as you walk, sweep through the long grass, backwards and forwards in front of you. And then once you've done that for a few minutes, have a look inside your net and see what you've found. Don't forget to roll up your net to see what you've found. Oh, there's a grasshopper. There's another one. Another grasshopper. So I've got a grasshopper here that I caught in amongst the long grass. And you have a look, he's got 2 small antennae, and that does indicate that he is a grasshopper. It's also a boy because it doesn't have an ovipositor, which is a thing sticking out of its bottom, which is an egg-laying tube. So we have a boy grasshopper here. Now, what I need to do is to listen and see if he chirps. It may take a while for him to settle inside the pot, and then once he's settled, we'll listen and count. Now, when I've finished with my grasshopper, I'm going to let him out. But if you find he's not working, he's not actually chirping inside your pot, then let him go, and then just wait, and he might start chirping. So we can try this in different ways. We could try it with a captured animal. We could try it with a wild animal, so just listening. And we can see if we can tell which one is the most accurate. Thinking about a fair test, is it fair if your animal is captured in a pot, probably getting quite hot inside there, to measure how much it's chirping if it's to do with temperature? Or is it fairer to do it actually in the wild where it actually lives with the proper air temperature? So we're going to have a go at one together. So the air temperature from my thermometer says that it is 73.2 degrees Fahrenheit. And now I'm going to put a timer on for 15 seconds and listen for my grasshoppers. Let's go. Now, it was actually quite hard to hear the crickets because there's lots of birds, but I think I got a number of 16. So let's do the calculation. So 16 plus 37, that gives us a value of 53. Now let's compare it to our temperature. That doesn't look very accurate at all. I think we need to repeat it. Once you've had a go and repeated it 4 times with a grasshopper, why don't you see if you can find a cricket and see if that's more accurate. Now, to tell a cricket from a grasshopper, crickets have got much longer antennae, and they're carnivores, whereas grasshoppers are herbivores, so they can be quite predatory. And you can get some really big ones. Great green bush crickets you can get can be up to that big. So see if you can find some of those. Again, if they won't chirp in your pot, let it go, follow it, and when it starts to settle, have a listen. Or we could just sit here and listen to the sound and count. If you manage to find some crickets or grasshoppers and you calculate the temperature, I'd love to see what your results are. Let's see if the whole of the Nature Days community have got the same results, or whether we have a different one here in this part of the country. So let's have a look at your graphs and have a look at any of the animals that you found, because it could be different species of crickets or grasshoppers have different amounts of chirping per minute. It's not to do with temperature at all. Let's see if we can test this hypothesis. So please share anything on Twitter, #NatureDays or @DawnNatureDays, or put it on the Nature Days Facebook page. And I really look forward to finding out what your results are.